Hello! What I want to talk about today is, because we are, well, it's still September by the time that I upload this, but next month is October, which when you're participating in NaNo, that is the National Novel Writing Month, that is every November, and I am participating again this year because last year was fun. So October tends to be Preptober. We prep before we get started because with Nano, we are writing 50,000 words, and it's really not recommended to jump straight into writing 50,000 words without any prep. That's a really good way to exhaust yourself and burn out. So what I wanted to talk about is writing books. I want to show you several that I have, not all of them because there's quite a few and that would not be a short video. But I wanted to show you these ones. So first off, I want to show you the book that has kept the dream of writing. I bought this book back in the early 2000s. This one came out in 2005, so I may have bought it in 2005. Still convinced that I couldn't write. You know, that dumb thing that you bite into yourself and you're like, oh, I can't write. I'm not good enough. B, as a B. That would be Sid Field's screenplay. I don't write screenplays, but Sid Field's book is so good. It has all the same arcs and all the same tempo and all the same things that go into a novel. In my case, I kind of just took the words and kind of just twist them a little bit. And also he brings up so many good examples. And I love this book because not only did it drive me into believing that actually I can write, I'm not the only one who loves this book because it was enough of an inspiration to write the inspiration for this book, or the predecessor for this book. So this is Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody. I have not read Save the Cat, which is about screenplay, and I do believe is heavily based on Sid Field's. But this one is really, really good. I know that there's a lot of people who talk this book up, but when you just need the dumbed down version, because sometimes your brain just wants to go and you just like, well, we need to go, this book is good. It also draws a lot from The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell, which a lot of people have criticized because he used the word hero instead of heroine, even though he does clarify at some point that he uses hero because he's used to using the word hero. It's like, I know, I'm confused, but if something doesn't work for me in a book like this, I either switch it around or I just ignore it. So couldn't quite understand that criticism. But this book is really good because Brody really, really brings a lot of good examples for you to read. There are exercises, there are, explanation of genres, and like the general known story arcs. Actually, there is another book. I'm not gonna show you all of them, but there is one really, really old that's called 20 Master Plots and How to Build Them by Tobias? It's really old. I got it secondhand, but I adore it. It's pretty much the same thing as, Hero with 1,000 Faces and Save the Cat Writes a Novel. It's basically just these basic universal storylines. And then I have these two. I have Steering the Craft by Ursula K. Le Guin and Zen in the Art of Writing by Ray Bradbury. Ursula K. Le Guin has stated herself that this isn't really for beginner writers. This is very, very much like its vocabulary, point of view, verbs, and punctuation. I keep turning to my bookcase, but if you really, really need help with grammar, a really, really good book is Strunk and White's The Elements of Style. There was another one. find it. But yeah, a really good grammar book is just essential when you are writing. As for Zen in the Art of Writing, it's like it's part memoir, part masterclass. I'm gonna say that Ray Bradbury really knows who Ray Bradbury is, but it is really helpful to, if you're interested, to read this book. It's very, how to put it? Well, it's very Ray Bradbury. So he's very much writing his experience and how things have changed during his lifetime. It is interesting. Perhaps more helpful would be Matthew Sales's Craft in the Real World. Now this is more geared towards writing classes or writing work groups, because I've never been in one. There aren't that many writing groups here in Iceland, but I've heard about them, I've read about them, and being an introverted anxious person, they have kind of made my skin crawl. Purely because that would mean socializing and speaking. But for other people who are not white or of European descent in America, very many writing groups are difficult because of ingrained cultural interpretations. Basically, how we here in the Western world typically tell stories is not the one and only way to tell a story. The 5-arc structure, 3-arc structure, some people write in the 5-arc, but the 3-arc structure with a beginning, middle, and end, and a definitive storyline is not the end-all be-all. Pretty certain that some of the sagas would turn those some writing instructors, they would be turned grey-haired if they would be reading the sagas. But like one of the examples that I do remember reading in this book is, I do believe that there was a Korean author, might even have been this one. I don't know. I have a horrible time remembering people and events and clicking them together. But an Asian author, in any case, who was writing based on something that he was experiencing in his country of origin, and that would be like the food and some of the words used. And when he was writing from that, in that working group in America, his fellow writers, they just went, I don't understand it. Which to me sounds really sad, because the point of reading something from a different culture is to understand it. At least that's how I've been taught here in Iceland. When we are reading something from like America or Britain or France or Russia or wherever, we are reading to learn a little bit more about that culture, about that different perspective. But it did help me to finally understand what was bugging me about something that I read decades ago. So in one writing instruction thingy, might have been a book, might be in my shelf, I cannot remember, it's been years since I read it. The instructor was, he made an example of a Greenlandish folktale, which is essentially, I cannot even remember the folktale, but essentially it's about a man whose wife is kidnapped by someone and is brought down to the bottom of the ocean, and he's going through this whole quest of going to rescue his wife, and up pops this, it was either an orca or a shark, because he'd helped that creature before, so the creature was here to help him. And so they go and rescue the wife. Pretty regular folktale in my experience, like, sounded really familiar. It's like, that's a good one. But this writing instructor, he criticized the story for not having a definitive beginning, middle, end, and for the fact that the creature showed up out of the blue. And I cannot speak for anyone who is from Greenland. I am Icelandic. We are very connected nations, but we are not the same nation. But what I can extrapolate from my own experience as an Icelander in a seafaring nation is that the ocean is really chaotic, and the creatures in the ocean are very chaotic. You can never predict when they are popping up. So to my brain, it made perfect sense that this orca or shark would pop up, because that's what they do. So it's from reading this book that I finally understand what the difference was. It's simply that we were not of the same culture. We did not have the same cultural perspective. My perspective was that the creature popping up made sense. From his perspective, it was he needs more. But yeah, I would definitely recommend this book because it does make you think, and I love when a book makes you think, because that helps you make a better story and hopefully make you a better person. And then on to two last books. We got a novel in a year by Louise Doughty. I do believe that she worked on this in collaboration with the BBC World Service. It was a radio series in 2001 called The Writer's Workshop, and this author had this year-long workshop with a weekly radio show, and she ended up writing this book. And has actually helped me write a book? No. But it has helped me to realize that I can. So this book definitely holds a very, very special place in my heart. And I adore it, even though technically speaking didn't help me, but it helped me a lot in a different sense. And the last book I love is by Sandra Newman and Howard Middlemark. It's How Not to Write a Novel. This book is the exact thing that we need when we are trying to study how to write a novel. This one brings all the examples of how not to do things, like changing the tense, changing the verbs, going into unnecessary detail, boring detail, focusing on the wrong thing. Like one of the examples is the accidental romantic interest, and they make it so creepy, which is exactly the point that they're driving home. In a romance novel, when the main male protagonist has a creepy fixation on, for example, his younger sister, whilst looking for a romantic partner, and like the characters don't make the connection, but there's definitely something that the writer should not be focusing on. And those are exactly the things that we need when we are writing, how not to do the things. Like, we can always find information on how to do things, but how to not do the things, and yes. So out of that pile, the three books that I definitely need to recommend would be Save the Cat, Write a Novel, Craft in the Real World, and How Not to Write a Novel. This, because sometimes we just need a simple little help. This, because we need help to think, and this because we need help how to figure out how to not to do the things. So these three books, definitely. Also, there's 7 books on writing that I managed to make a decision about wanting to show you, even though I think I showed you 2 more. Anywho, so I have a lot of writing books, but these are the ones that definitely stand out. I have heard about like Stephen King's book on writing, but I'm not really a Stephen King fan. Unfortunately, I know, controversial, but hey, we all have different opinions. I am intrigued about how his system of writing, but at the same time, I'm like, it's probably just sitting you up to down and doing the work. But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. I really hope that you are participating in Nano, and if so, please tell me. Hopefully I will see you then on the Nano webpage. Do Preptober. Even if you only manage like a couple of days, do prep work in October. That would be like outlining, deciding on characters, deciding on world, make the world, preliminary decisions on what kind of story you're gonna tell, characters. Anything that you can prepare in October is going to help you so much. Okay, so hopefully I will see you again in November. Well, sooner. I'm tired. So yeah, I will hopefully see you again later. So take care and see ya. Bless.